Interesting. This is the first time I've ever had this happen. My old oil filter does not have the gasket on it anymore. The gasket should be right around here, and it's not there because it's stuck to my engine. This is the first time I've seen it, but I've heard other people talk about it a lot, so I know it's something that happens. I've just never personally seen it until now. So I'm gonna make sure that I remove that piece of gasket before I put the new oil filter on. Otherwise, I'm gonna have an oil leak. I'm gonna let that Fumoto valve drain for a little while longer, try to get as much of the old oil out as possible. Very easy. This part of the oil change is a little bit controversial. I am going to pre-fill my oil filter. The 2024 6.7 Powerstroke. We have a Motorcraft oil filter, FL2124S. I got it from the dealer. They buy it in bulk, so it came in a brown box, made in USA. So I always just make sure that it's clean inside, that there's no debris shaking around in there. I actually did order a couple AMSOIL oil filters for this engine, and when I got them, something was rattling around inside of them, and it was actually the black paint that they put on the outside of the AMSOIL filters. They had laid it on really thick around this lip, the outer edge, and some of that paint had broken off and gotten inside the filter. So I ended up setting those filters aside because I didn't want to get any of those chunks of paint in my engine. So I ended up just not using them. And I got the Motorcraft filters, and I'm just going to stick with the Motorcraft filters. This filter looks decent. I didn't see anything inside of it. So I'm going to go ahead and pre-fill it and then get it installed on the engine. It is a fresh quart of AMSOIL 5W40 Signature Series diesel oil. Oops. Yeah, I spilled a little bit. Oops. So now with some of the oil that I spilled around the edge of the oil filter, we can use that to lubricate the gasket on the filter. So just grab some of that, rub it around there. It's time to reinstall the oil filter. I have it pre-filled, or at least partially pre-filled. Maybe about halfway pre-filled. Get that nice and clean. Let's screw this on, hand tight. Now once you feel the gasket touch, I usually turn it at least a half turn. So just note where the label is and then give it a turn so that that's turned around at least halfway, or just as tight as you can get it by hand without cranking down on it too much. That's probably about a half turn right there. I'll just give it a little more. A half turn to 3/4 of a turn should be good. So that's pretty hand tight. Although I don't have the strongest hands, so if you're a guy doing this, your hand tight is probably a little bit more than my hand tight. Give it a little more. I'm gonna call that good. That's about 3/4 of a turn from when the gasket touched. I like to make sure that the filter is nice and clean after I install it, so that when I check under the engine, if I'm just taking a look to check if I'm having any leaks, if the filter is dirty or if there is oil on the outside of it, then I know that it's a leak and it's not just residue from when I did the oil change. I'm going to close up the oil drain valve now. This is a Fumoto valve. There are a few different companies that make similar type of drain valves that can open without needing to use any tools. So I'm just going to get this nice and clean. So to shut it, you're just going to turn this lever so that it's pointing in line with the valve hole. So we're just going to turn it like that, and then it's going to fall down into, it's like spring loaded, so it'll go down and latch down, so that in order to open it, you have to push up here and then turn. So that's how it opens. So to close it, we're just going to turn it like that and let it drop down so that it's locked shut. I have a little cap that goes on the end to keep the end of the valve clean, so that when I start my next drain, there's not a bunch of dirt coming out when I'm taking my oil sample. So I'm gonna put this cap on. Just like that. And there's one more piece. This is a clip to secure the drain valve. So you just put this clip here, just push it in here, and it prevents that valve from opening while you're driving, because it doesn't let the valve lever push up. The plastic piece stops it from being able to push up. And that's it. We're done with the drain portion of the oil change. We got the new filter on. Drain hole is all closed up, cleaned off. So now we're ready to refill the oil in the 6.7 Powerstroke diesel engine.